Ooh, hello there, my fellow miners and crafters. Good times with Scar here, and welcome back to the wonderful worlds of Hermits and Crafting. And we're flying over FrankenScar's mansion, where we built this absolutely massive mansion in our last episode, and it was so amazing to read the comments and see how much you guys liked us changing up the style and building in a traditional sense of design here, whereas we have been working heavily in modern design over the last few months. And I find it super important to really vary your styles when you play Minecraft, and it's important to build a little modern, it's important to build a little traditional, and with the FrankenScar mansion, we got to finally do a little traditional again, which was absolutely a blast. But there is a problem with this mansion, the fact that it is still floating, and we're gonna fix that in today's episode. Our first task with this will be to build a super cool mountain around the house, and from that, we then make it into a bit of a spooky landscape. We're gonna use the fog effect down below, we're gonna use some neat tricks with waterfalls, and then we're gonna start to add the machinery, the mechanisms that will make this house not just a mansion, but a mansion with a secret. And that secret deep within this house will be the resurrection of Scar. That is right. We're making a resurrection chamber eventually in this house. It is going to be amazing. So we're going to need to add a whole bunch of things to it to make that happen eventually. Also, we will need to finish the backside. There's still a lot of work to do back here, but landscape is now our #1 priority because it looks ridiculous floating in the air. Besides fixing our house's floating problem, we also have to head here into the dead quarters and start working on our room we've been tasked with, and that is on the 3rd floor. And what that is the trophy room to hold the heads of the Dragon Bros. That's right, when the Dragon Bros fall, we're going to put the dragon heads in here, and I want to think of something fun to do for this space. Now, it's very small. It is very, very tight and small, so we'll figure out how to make this look good in such a confined quarters. Now, over here is the bedroom or dead room, and this is a lot bigger, and there was some talk about maybe I could move the trophy room over here, but I don't know what the consensus was on that. So we could also do the dead room too today. So we've got a lot cut out for us today, but one of the things we're gonna need today is glass. So let's head back to the mainland. Let's smelt some glass. Actually, we're probably gonna need some sand. So sand, then we smelt. Also, I think we're going to have to AFK for kelp because we're out of kelp too. I'm way ahead of myself. Well, today's already starting out well. I don't know quite how to explain this, but I went down this little chute, right? Like this, and I died. I just died. I don't know how, but I did. And I'm super frustrated because every episode I seem to die about 5 times now from fall damage. But anyway, I did a little bit of AFKing, and look at this, my friends. We got a whole stack plus a little bit extra of kelp that we can fill the furnaces back up because it is completely depleted and we're gonna need a whole lot of sand. So let's get these shulker boxes now filled up with sand. I love coming out to the desert and seeing the power of the hermit, right? This area has been absolutely decimated by the Hermitcraft members to build amazing things throughout the world, and to see this whole desert completely stripped of sand except a few little islands here or there, it is really cool to see that and know all the amazing things that have come from this desert. Like just thinking of things that I've built, all the different clouds over the landscaping shop, and the volcano plume. I don't know, it's just fun to think about that. That's kind of what's fun about survival, right? Is that you know where the things you got came from. You build a tree, a giant tree, well, you know where it all came from. I don't know where these villagers came from. Why there's just a pack of roaming nomad villagers here? One will never know. But anyway, let's grab some sand. If we can find some, that is. 13 shulker boxes full of sand from the desert. It's time to do some serious smelting now. So it took a lot more kelp than I thought to smelt down all of those, and I had to head all the way out to the 1.14 area to Idea, which I've never been here before, and I had no idea what in the end they were going to sell. And this is pretty cool. They've got all sorts of different things over here. They've got dyes, they've got wools on this other wall over here, so that is super cool. And then they've got the bone meal, and of course the kelp. And I think I just said that completely backwards. They've got the kelp and they got the bone meal, so yeah, this place is awesome. Remember how I said that I died in that little shaft going down to the kelp farm? Well, I died again in it, and now I'm stuck here in the desert, and it's gonna be a long walk. Who would have thought smelting was gonna be so hard and costly? Finally, we have 15 shulker boxes of glass now. After all of that smelting, ghostly glass is fully back in stock here, and it looks like we're 99% in stock, now 100%. And in our colored glass section here, we are fully filled back in with all the different colors. So that is super awesome. So not only did we get this shop filled up, but we have enough glass to do our project today. So, ghostly dog there. Let me know when the hermits come here because I need diamonds. So the first diamond that goes in that box, you let me know because I have no diamonds after Idea. And all those kale blocks. Also, before we leave here, this is now Shulker Lawn. It goes in the long esteemed collection of Shulker Mountain, Shulker Beach, Shulker Riverside, Shulker Dune, Shulker Cliffside. So now we add to the collection Shulker Front Lawn. When I walk through the swamp, I see this area as such a missed opportunity, but ripe with potential for amazing additions to the game. The swamp biome lacks so much life. There's chickens walking around here. This doesn't fit the aesthetic of a swamp. What it needs is some kind of mysterious creature lurking in the murky waters. It's a little bit dangerous, similar to an alligator, but it designed in a unique Minecraft way. Also at night, fireflies dancing under the trees would be so cool in this area to see the little lights under the trees in the dark, and maybe even generated graveyards, similar to like a village or a temple or something along those lines. But there would be graveyards, and I think that just brings so much life and interest to the swamp areas. And what would you do to update the swamp biomes to add more life to them? Because man, these things are in desperate need of it, and there is just so much potential. So yeah, let me know what you think of my idea, and I want to hear from you. What would you do to update the swamp biome? Enough of my dreaming about a great big beautiful tomorrow for swamps. I believe that day will come, but what we do need to work on now is FrankenScar's mansion landscape, so this thing is no longer floating. So we're gonna do this in a multi-layered approach. We're gonna start with the structure. The structure is gonna be the cliffs and the kind of the dirt surrounding the mansion, so it is no longer floating. And then we'll move on to the next layer of detail, and that is updating the ground cover, adding some trees, and then moving into a ghostly waterfalls that I wanna add surrounding the mansion made of glass. And from that, we add the human element to it, and those are the things that are more mechanical, and those will tie in to the resurrection chamber deep within the mansion. So we have a ton of stuff for us to do here. So the first thing we're going to do, as I said, is build out the structure. So we're going to start working on that now, and we are going to do this kind of in a strange way. So in the front, we're going to try to kind of build it out, and then we're going to have a cliff. Then we're going to soften down the edges around the back and the side, so that gives us more opportunity for more, pieces of the mansion to be installed later on. So we're just trying to add more ground space to build off of. So with that, let's jump into super fast build mode and do some landscaping. And I have been wanting to do this for a very long time. So hit it. end of super fast build mode, and down below we've got ourselves one super awesome landscape that took a very long time, 9 hours, and we're here in the next day, but boy was it ever worth it, because we have not landscaped in a very long time, and it was so much fun just to completely improv this design out. And that's kind of the beauty of landscaping, is that it's so fun to just kind of think, okay, let's just start dropping down some blocks and see where it takes us. Like the inspiration for the walkway and how it kind of wanders downwards and into the portal area and has this fun kind of organic shape to it with this little pass through here, and to our right there's even a secret cave under the house. That none of this was pre-planned, it's just kind of the way the blocks kind of speak to you. It sounds a little silly, the blocks speak to you, but once you start placing it down, or it's almost like painting, right? Sometimes when you don't plan ahead and you just kind of see where the paint or the blocks are going to take you, it's super fun. And I love every minute of it. So one thing I'd like to do in a moment is make the house a little bit more dilapidated. It looks like there's a party going on, a happy party. And I'd prefer there to be a sad party there, because it's supposed to be scary. And in that same vein, I'd also like to incorporate a bit of an overgrown feeling to the ground that we're walking on. Add some tall grass, more plant life, a mixture of alive and dead trees, and eventually our eerie waterfall spilling out made of glass, I think will bring so much more character to this area. And this walkway was actually inspired by Ivan Earl, the art director for, I don't know if he was the art director, I forgot his exact position in the movie, but for Sleeping Beauty, he did a lot of the backgrounds and kind of got the feel for the movie. And we kind of took inspiration with Maleficent's castle and stuff along those lines, how it had that walkway that kind of snaked its way up to her castle. And that's kind of how I designed the FrankenScarian mansion here. So I think it's looking good. Here's that secret cave back there. We'll look at that in a little bit. But yeah, this was super fun, but we've got to start building the rest of the landscape here, because we've been working on this video for 2 days. Well, that time lapse wasn't all fun and games. Oh no, it was not. I was killed by a skeleton during it. Go back to the time lapse and see if you can find when I died by a skeleton followed by an explosion. Once my items had, you know, dispensed from my lifeless body, a creeper wiped out my entire inventory, which was 4 shulker boxes of stone and dirt, and I also had all of my tools, my bow and arrow, everything completely wiped out. Elytra wings, food, rockets. It was pretty darn devastating. So I'm down to some like weak tools. Like, look at this. It's not even sharpness 5. It doesn't have looting on it. So we do need to replenish our tools and our supplies, because that was really devastating. I lost a ton of resources. This is really bad for business, Impulse. You gotta clean this up, man. We are back in business now. We've got a proper sword and bow and arrow ready to roll. And I love the names. Look, the Jelly Hiss for the bow and arrow and the Jelly Bite for the sword. Look at that sword. All those enchantments on there looking super fancy. As for the bow and arrow, I did add mending to it, because about 2 episodes ago, I asked you what your preferred enchantment is for a bow, infinity or mending. You guys chose mending. Very close. A lot of debate. A lot of opinions on that. Very interesting opinions on those. So yeah, we went with mending. Welcome back to the Deadlands, and we've now got this walkway leading right up to FrankenScarian's mansion. And I think it's nice. It's simple, but effective. It's got a mixture of different stones. Now, I would like to come in and maybe add some like broken brick or maybe some mossy cobble in here, just to kind of add a little bit more of the swamp feel to the pathway, because other than that, it's kind of generic stone path. I do like the lanterns. I think these look nice. They're incredibly simple, but I think effective in what they're doing going up this walkway. But where I want to turn my attention now is to the foliage of the terraforming. So what I want to make is a dead tree, a live tree, and then build up the plant life. So we get some of the leaves in here, we get some tall grass to really create that overgrown feel to the area. But right now I feel super sad, because I've turned all of my wither roses into black dye. And it would look so cool if we had some wither roses, but I don't think we have a single wither rose on this server, because, well, it's all black dye now. But anyway, I'm gonna make a quick color palette with the plant life, to figure out the general style that then we'll take that and spread it all the way around this terraforming. I think that is a start to our swampy landscape here. So we've got a lot of tall grass in there, a lot of leaves, and what I think really makes the whole thing pop is a bit of carpet here. Now the carpet is kind of like moss. So moss, you know, is a very bright green, where the rest of the foliage is a little bit darker. So that just adds a little extra highlight in the design and a bit of oh, whoops, my bad. And we got a little bit of rock in there. So you're kind of covering your shadows. This would be the grass. Your highlights are the moss on the ground, similar to the mossy stone there. And then the rocks are kind of your midtones. And you've kind of covered all your bases with that. So I'm happy with that. As for the tree, I think it's looking decent. I do, like I said before, want to add some dead trees, similar to what we did over at the landscaping shop. So yeah, let's take this design and spread that all the way around FrankenScar's mansion. So hit that super fast build mode one more time. End of super fast build mode, and we've got ourselves our spooky foliage down below here, and I think we achieved something today with this landscape, the ability to create something that feels as if it's always been here. And that's such a fun thing to do in landscape, is to try to make something organic enough that it feels as if it's always been in this location. As we land on the pathway, you can see how the foliage is starting to take over the pathway. We got our street lights, we got our trees, and as we get up to the top here, you can see we've got our dead trees with a ton of detail, and then we've got our alive trees, and then inside the foliage on the right and left sides, we've got all of the dynamic range of a good piece, right? We got the highlights, we got the shadows, we got the midtones. The midtones, of course, are the leaves. Actually, no, these are the shadows. The grass is the midtones, and the moss here as the carpets are our highlights. And of course, we've got our stone over there. Everything, I think, has come together really, really well. But there's one thing that we did miss out on today, but we will get to it after we work on our trophy room, which we'll do in just a moment. And that is the fog effect and the waterfalls. And we're going to get to that in our next episode, because we got to head over to the dead quarters and get that trophy room going. So the reason we couldn't get this done, of course, is, well, I lack time management and the ability to get things done in a reasonable amount of time. Like, I get too fussed up over some of the smallest of details, and then the time just ticks away. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this, and I hope this inspired you guys for your own kind of overgrown, spooky landscapes. But as I said, let's head into the dead quarters and get that Dragon Bro room built. Time to get started on our trophy room for the bros' heads. So what I'm thinking about doing is moving it from here over to this side, so we have a little bit more room. Now the vision for this is a place to take the Dragon Bro head after you slate it as a gray skin and place it down on an armor stand, and then it activates a redstone signal, you know, emitting some fireworks or maybe even some music, because you want to have this be a sense of accomplishment when you slayed a Dragon Bro. So to place down its head is a big accomplishment, so we want to make sure we do this right. So I think I might move it over to this side, and for the bedroom, I think what we could do too is have it come in here and even take some of the space that's underground or just, you know, in between the floors here. I think could really be fun if we did something like that. So let's go grab some material and get started. Well, this is hilarious. Somebody found my squid head collection here. Why are there so many squid heads here? Well, they're here because I've just been slaying them squids. There is an abundance of them in some of these rivers that surround this swamp here, and I cannot pass up the opportunity for that ink, especially when we need so much more for the backside of that roof. Interiors are tricky. They're like a puzzle, and sometimes a bigger space like this is not conducive to what you want to do. So I decided to go back to this room over here and scaled it down just a little bit, but up the amount of detail in here. So I think this is looking good. So these are where the dragon heads are gonna go. Now I tried everything in a creative world to try to get an armor stand to output a redstone signal. I couldn't make it work. Maybe you guys can. Show me in the comments or on Twitter how to do it. But what I can do is put an observer here so a head can be placed on that, activating our little system here. So starting the floor, getting the ceiling and the walls done, but yeah, I think this will be pretty cool when it's done. The Dragon Bro trophy room is now complete, and I think it came out really nice for such a little space here. We do have some redstone hooked up, so let's take a look at that. So we have the observer. That is where the dragon head goes on top of, and that will activate the dispensers. Now this one right here does not work. I cannot get that one to work because of the placement of the redstone, being that there's no room because it's an exterior wall and things along those lines. So the rest of them all work when you place down something on the observers. And the only thing I don't have is a little tune that plays. If you are good with note blocks on Twitter or somewhere, send me something that I can build under here for a little note block to play, and you know, just like a little celebration tune. It can only be like 2, 3, 4 seconds at best. I think it'd be really fun. So let's give it a little shot. Let's get out a dirt block. Aha, that's good. That's good stuff right there. We'll get another hit with that. Haha, fantastic. So if there was like a little tune that played, I think it would really enhance the experience here, but I'm really bad with note blocks. What an episode today, am I right? We got Ghostly Glass fully restocked. We got this massive landscape completed around FrankenScar's mansion. And of course, the Dead Quarters now has a trophy room for all those Dragon Bro heads to be placed into. And I really hope you enjoyed today. And if you did, a like rating on the video would be much appreciated. And until next time, we'll see you later. And don't forget to subscribe, because you may just become scarred for life.